Flights are $2,500 each, my sister said, her sharp voice slicing through the clink of silverware at the dinner table. If you can't afford it, Grace, then stay behind. I kept my face calm and only nodded, though my stomach twisted painfully. We were at my parents' house planning their big Miami trip. My sister, her husband, my mom, all of them were going business class, of course. I had just come off a 10-hour shift as an environmental engineer, my back aching from hunching over reports, my bank account already drained from helping them before. We deserve this, my sister added, as if my absence meant nothing. As if I wasn't truly family unless I paid my own way in. The next day, my phone pinged a credit card alert. 3 business class tickets to Miami plus a 5-star hotel booking, $8,000. Charged to my card, but not in my name. My hands shook as I opened the app. The passenger names, my sister, her husband, my mom. Not me. Not Grace Harper. What would you do in this situation? Comment now. Your answer might just be the next chapter of the story. I'm Grace, 28, an environmental engineer in Raleigh, North Carolina, where I spend my days crunching data and wading through permits. My job pays well $70,000 to $90,000 a year, but between student loans and family demands, my savings account is more of a suggestion than a reality. For years, I've been the one they turn to when money runs short, and it's left me feeling like a walking ATM. It started innocently enough. 3 years ago, my sister came to me with a pitch. She needed $3,000 for a marketing campaign that was guaranteed to land her big clients. She's a freelance marketer always chasing the next deal, but that campaign flopped. No clients, no repayment, just a string of excuses about market shifts and unlucky breaks. I let it go, figuring family sticks together. But it became a pattern. Every few months she'd call with another crisis, a late rent payment, a short-term loan for $500, then $1,000. I wired the money, watched my savings dwindle, and told myself it was temporary. Then there was Mom. She's retired, living off a modest pension from her days as an administrative assistant. 2 summers back, her roof started leaking. She didn't ask for help, she assumed it. Grace, the roof's falling apart. We need $2,000, she said over breakfast, her tone implying it was my duty to keep her house intact. I paid because that's what daughters do, right? But then I'd visit and see new purchases, a sleek smart TV, a high-end blender, while I was still driving a creaky sedan from my college days. It stung, but I swallowed it. My sister's husband was another story. He's a small-time contractor, always boasting about big projects that never seem to close. Last year, he got hold of my credit card and racked up $5,000 for construction equipment without asking. "The client's check is coming, Grace," he said, with a cocky grin. The client ghosted, and so did his repayment. When I pushed back, Mom shut it down. "Grace, don't make waves. We're family." That word family started feeling like a chain around my neck. It wasn't just the big asks. There were smaller ones piling up like pebbles into a mountain. My sister needed $1,500 for a new car down payment last spring, claiming her old one was shot. I sent it only to see her driving a shiny SUV a week later. Mom hit me up for $1,000 for a girls' trip with her book club, then posted photos from a fancy spa weekend. Each time I paid thinking I was helping, but it never stopped. They didn't see me as Grace, their sister or daughter, just a bottomless bank account. I didn't fully grasp it until that dinner flipped everything upside down. My sister, her husband, and Mom were planning their Miami escape, acting like I was just there to fund it. I'd bailed them out so often they assumed my card was theirs to swipe. That next morning, my phone buzzed with a bank alert. I opened the app, and my chest tightened. $8,000 charged for 3 business class tickets to Miami and a 5-star hotel suite. The names on the booking: my sister, her husband, and Mom. Not me. I stared at the screen, my coffee untouched, my hands shaking. I wasn't just their fallback. I was their cash machine, and they'd punched in the PIN without a second thought. I tapped Dispute Transaction, selected each unauthorized charge, and confirmed. A notification appeared. Account locked pending review. For the first time that morning, my heartbeat slowed. Moments later, my phone buzzed with an email from the bank confirming the dispute I'd filed. The charges were frozen, my account sealed tight. I leaned back in my chair, feeling a spark of control I hadn't felt in years. They weren't getting another penny from me. 15 minutes later, my sister started calling. One call after another, each voicemail sharper than the last. "Grace, you've ruined everything," she hissed in one, her voice thick with fury. "We're at the airport and the tickets aren't paid for. How could you do this?" She acted like I'd betrayed her, not the other way around. No mention of using my card without permission. No apology. I gripped my phone, my thumb hovering over the screen, and typed back, "You said what?" The words felt like a jab, sharp and deliberate. I hit send and waited. Her husband was next, his number lighting up my screen. His voicemail dripped with arrogance. "Grace, this is childish. Unlock the card, or we're stuck here." I deleted it. My fingers steady now, and blocked his number. Mom called too, her tone softer but laced with guilt. "Grace, we need to sort this out. You're causing a scene." A scene I'd spent years covering their bills: $3,000 for my sister's failed project, $1,000 for Mom's spa getaway. And now I was the problem. I let her call go unanswered, my silence louder than any argument. I needed space, a break from their relentless pressure. I pulled up a travel site on my laptop and booked a weekend in Asheville, North Carolina. A quiet cabin in the Blue Ridge Mountains costing $500 paid from my savings. It wasn't just a getaway, it was a statement. I imagined hiking trails, breathing air that didn't carry their expectations. For once, my money was for me, not them. The confirmation email felt like a small victory, a step toward a life where I wasn't their fallback. That evening, my phone pinged with a text from my sister Grace. "Think about family. You're tearing us apart over money." My stomach churned at her words. Family. She'd drained me for years, and now she was spinning it to make me the villain. Her message wasn't remorse, it was manipulation, a last-ditch effort to reel me back. I set my phone down, my heart steady, and didn't respond. I wasn't playing their game anymore. 3 days later, my doorbell rang on a quiet Saturday morning in Raleigh. I opened it to find Mom standing there, her arms crossed, lips pressed into a thin line. "Grace, we need to fix this now," she said, her voice sharp, like I was a child caught misbehaving. She stepped toward the door, expecting to walk right in. I blocked the doorway, my hand firm on the frame. "Fix what I asked," keeping my tone even but cold. Her eyes narrowed as if my question was an insult. "The card, Grace. The bank's holding up our trip because of your dispute. Unlock it." Her words carried that old familiar weight, like I owed her, like my boundaries were a personal attack. I took a deep breath. My heart steady despite the knot in my stomach. "You used my money without asking," I said. "I'm not unlocking anything." She flinched, then leaned closer, her voice dropping to a pleading tone. "We're family. You can't just leave us stranded." I shook my head, the anger rising but controlled. "Family respects each other. You crossed a line." I shut the door, the sound firm and final, and locked it. Her knocks echoed for a moment, then stopped. I stood there, breathing hard, feeling the weight of years lift just a little. That afternoon, my phone chimed with an email from my friend Lindsay, a credit specialist at my bank. The subject read, "Urgent account activity." I opened it, my pulse quickening. Lindsay had accessed the family's joint account, one I'd been roped into years ago for shared expenses. Her email was blunt. My sister Shannon and her husband Andrew had been draining it to pay off gambling debts, $7,000 in transfers over 6 months, all tied to online betting sites. Worse, they'd forged my signature on authorization forms linking my credit card to their transactions without my knowledge. Lindsay attached evidence: bank statements, transfer records, and scans of the forged documents, each one a betrayal in black and white. My chest tightened as I scrolled through the numbers, dates, and amounts that matched their emergencies I'd covered. I leaned back, the reality sinking in. Shannon's endless sob stories, Andrew's slick promises, Mom's demands. They weren't just careless, they were calculated. I'd been their safety net, their excuse, their cover for years. My hands shook, not with fear, but with clarity. I opened my laptop and started typing. I created an invoice, $8,500, itemizing every cent they'd taken: $3,000 for Shannon's failed marketing scheme, $1,000 for Mom's spa getaway, $500 for her other needs, and the rest for their unauthorized charges. I attached Lindsay's evidence, every damning receipt and forged signature. The email's subject was simple: payment due. I sent it to the family group chat, my finger hovering over the send button for only a moment before clicking. They wanted to talk about family. They'd see what it really meant. The silence in the group chat didn't last long. Hours after my invoice hit their inboxes, my phone erupted with notifications, each one a jab from the family I'd once propped up. Shannon's first text was a dagger. "You're so selfish, Grace, airing our business like this." Her words carried the same entitlement I'd heard for years, as if I'd betrayed her by demanding what was mine. I stared at the screen, my jaw tight, feeling the sting but refusing to flinch. Andrew's voicemail followed, his voice low and accusing. "You think you're some saint. This is petty, dragging us through the mud." Mom's message was the worst, her tone icy and deliberate. "I raised you to be better than this, Grace. Selfish. Better than this, I'd poured thousands into their lives: $3,000 for Shannon's schemes, $1,000 for Mom's luxuries, and now they painted me as the villain." I set my phone down, my hands steady, and let their words fade unanswered. A week later, Lindsay called, her voice urgent but professional. She'd been combing through the joint accounts records at the bank, and her findings were worse than before. 2 more unauthorized transfers, $4,000 in total, had gone to a shady online casino, one payment in January, another in April. The approvals bore my name, but the handwriting was unmistakably Shannon's, all sharp angles and hurried loops. Lindsay had traced the transactions to Andrew's phone and Shannon's email, pinning them to a betting site they'd used for months. She sent me a detailed email with account logs, IP addresses, and a scanned form showing my forged signature. "This is airtight," she wrote. "The bank can't ignore it." My chest tightened as I read, not just from anger but from the clarity of how far they'd gone. I forwarded her evidence to the bank's fraud team, my fingers moving with purpose. Days later, I got a reply: Shannon and Andrew were now under formal investigation, summoned for interviews about their account activity. They'd face scrutiny, maybe consequences beyond what they'd imagined. The news didn't stay quiet. Raleigh's small-town gossip network lit up, and Mom's carefully curated image at her community club started to crack. She'd been a pillar there, hosting book clubs and planning charity galas, but the whispers about financial trouble and bank investigations spread like wildfire. A woman from her book group texted me, her message polite but probing. "Is your mom okay? I heard something about the bank." I didn't respond, but the rumors did the talking. Mom's name was quietly dropped from the club's next newsletter, and her usual seat at the annual fundraiser went empty. Her charm had carried her for years, but it couldn't outrun the truth. 5 weeks later, I ducked into a quaint coffee shop in downtown Raleigh, craving a moment of peace. The smell of roasted beans filled the air as I ordered, but my calm shattered when I saw Mom at a corner table. Her face was drawn, her hands fidgeting with a napkin. She looked up, her eyes catching mine, and gestured me over. "Grace, just a minute," she said, her voice low, almost fragile. I hesitated, then sat, my body tense, my coffee cooling untouched. She reached into her purse and slid a check across the table, $8,500, the exact amount I'd demanded. "Take it," she said, her gaze pleading but tinged with desperation. "We can move past this." I stared at the check. its crisp edges a hollow attempt to erase years of manipulation. My heart pounded, but my voice was steady. "I'm not your ATM anymore," I said, locking eyes with her. "This isn't about money. It's about trust, and you shattered it." Her lips parted, her hands trembling as she tried to speak. "Grace, I'm your mother," she whispered. I stood, pushing the check back toward her. "And I'm done being used." I walked out, the bell above the door chiming softly, my steps lighter than they'd been in years. 6 months later, my life was taking shape in ways I hadn't dared imagine. I'd met Adam, a kind-hearted software engineer with a sharp wit, at a friend's dinner in Raleigh. Our first date was at a quiet Italian restaurant where we laughed over shared plates of pasta and stories about our worst bosses. He didn't push or pry, just listened, his steady presence, a contrast to the chaos I'd left behind. We started seeing each other weekly, our evenings filled with easy conversation and the kind of comfort I hadn't known I needed. I also joined a yoga class at a local studio, something I'd never had time for when I was bailing out my family. The sessions were tough at first, my body stiff from years of stress, but the slow stretches and deep breaths became a ritual. I'd leave each class feeling lighter, my mind clearer, as if I was shedding the weight of their expectations one pose at a time. My instructor, a woman named Tara, became a friend, her encouragement pushing me to show up even on hard days. Saving for a new apartment was my next step. I'd been eyeing a small condo in downtown Raleigh, a place with enough space for me to start fresh. Every paycheck I set aside a chunk, watching my savings grow past $10,000. It wasn't just about money, it was about building something that was mine, not a safety net for anyone else. Lindsay cheered me on, texting me listings and joking about decorating my future place with zero family drama. One morning, a letter arrived in my mailbox, handwritten and stamped from Charlotte. It was from Shannon. Her words were a familiar mix of guilt and manipulation. "Grace, you've abandoned us. Family doesn't give up like this." She mentioned nothing about the investigation or her debts, only how my actions had hurt everyone. I read it once, my pulse steady, and tucked it into a drawer. It wasn't worth a reply, but I kept it as a reminder of why I'd walked away. Her words no longer had power over me. The check from Mom, that $8,500 symbol of their control, sat untouched for weeks. Then I had an idea. I contacted a local engineering scholarship fund, one that supported women like me who'd fought to build careers in tech. I endorsed the check to them, mailing it with a note about helping others start fresh. The fund's director called to thank me, her voice warm with gratitude. It felt right, turning their guilt money into something good, something bigger than their mess. That same week, I made a final decision. I opened my phone, my fingers steady, and blocked Shannon's number, then Andrew's, then Mom's. I deleted the family group chat, its history of accusations and demands vanishing with a tap. My heart raced for a moment, but the silence that followed was freeing. I was done carrying their baggage. My life, my dates with Adam, my yoga classes, my savings for a new home was mine to build, and I wasn't looking back. Blocking their numbers was my final step, but the real work had been in rebuilding myself. Months later, I sat in my Raleigh apartment reflecting on the boundaries I'd fought to set. I'd spent years tethered to my family's demands, their emergencies draining my accounts and my spirit. Saying no to their loans, their guilt, their control, had been like learning to breathe again. Each choice, from locking my credit card to walking away from Mom's check, built a wall between their chaos and my peace. Lindsay kept me updated on the fallout. Shannon and Andrew were tangled in a legal mess, facing lawsuits from the bank over their unauthorized transfers. Court notices piled up, their names tied to hearings that could stretch for months. Mom, once a social fixture, had retreated from Raleigh's community scene. Her absence from club events spoke louder than any gossip, her influence fading as people whispered about her family's troubles. My life, though, was moving forward. Adam and I were planning our next step, moving in together. Over coffee, we sketched out ideas for a shared place, laughing about paint colors and arguing over couch sizes. His steady support made the future feel open, not heavy. We weren't rushing, but the thought of a home we'd build together kept me grounded. One evening, I pulled Shannon's letter from my drawer, its creased pages a relic of her last attempt to pull me back. Her words, "You've abandoned us," once carried weight, but now they were just ink. I smiled, not out of spite, but because I was free. Family isn't a reason to sacrifice yourself, I'd learned. It's a bond that thrives on respect, not obligation. I tucked the letter away, its lesson clear, and turned back to my life, unburdened at last.